What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today it's the Lazy Daze channel and we're back at it again doing some more history reaction for you guys today, and it is some more epic history TV's content for you, and it is their long awaited episode Napoleon in Italy part 2, Castiglione.
Castiglione or something like that. It works. No, Castiglione.
No, I won't really do it.
Castiglione, bro. Castiglione.
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 There you go. That's what we've got in this episode today. We're really looking forward to finding out what he's got in store for us. Jack definitely is. I enjoyed the last episode. Part 1 was really good.
Yeah, part 1 was interesting.
That's it indeed. We are taking a break from the Congress event because obviously Jack's going away, so we're just trying to do what we can, and we thought this one would be a bit better to get recorded.
You'll either see me back on here or BBC News.
Yeah. If you guys are looking forward to this reaction or Jack getting on to BBC News for random reasons, then like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. But we are going to jump straight into this one.
Let's do this. I can't wait to see this.
An Epic History TV EMF Productions collaboration in 1796.
If you haven't already, head over to Epic History TV's page. A link's going to be in the description box down below.
At the height of the French Revolutionary Wars.
Oh, that horse he's got fucking muscles, bro.
Ragged, demoralized army in northern Italy.
Nah, sort of biceps, muscles come out of his legs.
Many expected him to fail. Instead, in just 1 month, he won his first brilliant campaign.
Damn straight he did.
With astonishing self-confidence, boldness and energy, he led his army to victory after victory, transforming the war in Europe, winning praise from a grateful republic, and forging a legend. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte's first campaign, and the dawn of a new age. May 1796. The French Revolutionary Wars have entered their 5th year, and on what most consider to be a secondary front, there has been a stunning development. A 26-year-old general of the French Republic, Napoleon Bonaparte, has waged a lightning campaign across northern Italy, defeating the Kingdom of Piedmont-Sardinia and driving the Austrians across Lombardy. 2,000 Austrian troops remain holed up in Milan's citadel, but they cannot prevent his triumphal entry into the city on the 15th of May. Now the French general holds court at the Palazzo Serbelloni, issuing decrees on behalf of the Directory in Paris, while his troops enjoy several days' rest.
Gotta give the boys some rest.
Yeah, gotta give the boys rest.
As a French client state, known as the Lombardic Republic. Political and economic reforms sweep away the old Austrian state, to the delight of Italian intellectuals in cities like Milan. But the French also demand 20 million francs to help pay for the war, while their troops requisition vast quantities of food, horses, cattle, and boots. Most inflammatory are their attacks on the property and dignity of the Catholic Church, which enrage Italian priests and peasants, and are a gift to anti-French propagandists. On the 23rd of May, as Napoleon's troops set off in pursuit of the Austrians, revolt breaks out in Pavia. The next day, there are riots in Milan. Napoleon races back to the city, where order is soon restored. But on the road to Pavia, at Binasco, he encounters 1,000 armed rebels. Colonel Lannes' grenadiers rout the peasants, killing 100 and burning the village.
What do you expect, though?
A terrible example, which will be effective, Napoleon writes.
I mean, but what do you expect? Do you know what I mean?
Is retaken the next day with little opposition. A score of ringleaders, including several priests, are shot. Hundreds of hostages are taken from prominent local families to ensure future cooperation.
Alright, okay. I'll just shut up.
Napoleon resumes his advance. But on the road to Pavia, at Binasco, he encounters rebels. Colonel Lannes' grenadiers rout the peasants, killing 100 and burning the village. A terrible example, which will be effective.
And it made a statement,
writes.
so...
Yeah.
Pavia is retaken the next day, with little opposition. A score of ringleaders, including several priests, are shot. Hundreds of hostages are taken from prominent local families to ensure future cooperation. Napoleon resumes his advance east. His army now organized into 4 divisions: Kilmain's advance guard, Augereau, Massena, and Serrurier. General Berlioz's Austrian army holds the line of the Mincio River, with Lake Garda on his right and the great fortress of Mantua on his left.
Okay.
This, together with the fortresses at Peschiera, Verona, and Lagnago, forms the famous quadrilateral. 4 bastions that cement Austria's grip on northern Italy. But once more, Beaulieu can't get a read on Napoleon's movements. He scatters his troops, trying to defend 4 potential crossing points, and is further distracted by fake preparations to cross Lake Garda by boat. In fact, Napoleon has decided to cross the Mincio at Borghetto, and when Kilmain's advance guard arrives, they find the bridge defended by a single battalion of infantry and handful of hussars. The Austrians are soon driven back, but a sudden counterattack nearly bags General Bonaparte himself. A possibly dramatized account has him hopping over fences with one boot on to evade the hussars.
I need to see this. If there is any sort of greater life out there, right, please, when I die or even not, take me when I'm sleeping or whatever, show me the moment that happened, please, because, oh my God.
You want to see?
That would be like a Hot Fuzz sort of thing of him hopping over the fence, like, what's the matter, Danny? Never taken a shortcut before?
This lucky escape leads to the formation of an elite cavalry detachment to act as Napoleon's personal escort. They are named the Compagnie des Guides à Cheval. Their commander is a young cavalry captain named Jean-Baptiste Bessières. In time, this unit will become the famous Chasseurs à Cheval of the Imperial Guard.
Okay.
The Emperor's ever-present bodyguard on campaign.
Oh.
I have to provide for the defense of Manta, the key to Italy.
Taken by surprise by the crossing at Borghetto, Beaulieu begins a withdrawal to a new defensive line in the Adige Valley. However, at Mantua, he leaves behind a reinforced garrison, well supplied and ready to withstand a siege of at least 2 months.
Okay, yeah.
Napoleon cannot bypass Mantua. Its garrison is too powerful. But the fortress city will be a tough nut to crack. Its old walls surrounded on 3 sides by a lake and on the other by malarial marshland. The most unhealthy place in Italy, Napoleon tells the Directory.
Interesting.
His biggest problem is his lack of heavy siege artillery. Most of these guns are in Milan, bombarding the Austrians, still holed up in the citadel.
Right.
More guns were supposed to arrive by sea, but have been intercepted by British warships, commanded by a certain Commodore Horatio Nelson. Since April, Napoleon has launched 3 successful offensives, marched more than 200 miles, and won 10 battles.
That's a lot.
But finally, outside the walls of Mantua, he is brought to a halt.
Okay.
And the demands on his limited force are growing. He must maintain the siege of Mantua, even though its guns outnumber his own and no direct assault can be made. He must protect his lines of communication back to France and guard against further revolt in Lombardy.
That's another thing. How are you meant to do that?
And he must...
What?
Like, your communication lines. That's crazy how they were able to keep the communication lines free.
Yeah. In this day and age.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
From not having to travel so long and
Yeah.
having so much distance to cover, you could still be able to protect it in some way.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you have the cities along the way, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But yeah, it is such a logistical feat that gets underlooked a lot.
Yeah.
Within military. You know,
be
especially in
ready to
our
face
day
the
and ages when
Austrians,
we've got instant
who are
communication.
receiving
basically.
reinforcements from Germany and
Whereas
will
then they had
soon
to force them left.
counterattack. To add to his problems, the French Directory demands that he lead an expedition to central and southern Italy. He's to threaten military occupation unless these states cough up huge sums to help fund the French war effort.
I mean,
Napoleon vehemently opposes the idea. Marching troops the
a
length
bit
of
odd.
Italy in high summer, he warns, will end in sickness and death. Fortunately, strong words alone persuade Naples to sign an armistice. And in the end, Napoleon doesn't
lucky.
even have to go as far as Rome. The French march through the Duchy of Modena, the Papal States, and the Grand Duchy of Tuscany, raising more than 40 million francs in tribute from states that are powerless to resist.
40 mil.
Napoleon died.
Can you imagine having such a big dick that you could just go to another country, whip it out, and take money and then walk away?
I would have been some fucking incredible marshal back then, bro. My God.
Racketeering? Got my number.
In Florence with the Grand Duke before returning to Milan. There he is reunited with his wife Josephine, who's arrived from Paris, discreetly accompanied by her new lover. Napoleon does not linger in Milan. Its citadel has finally fallen, freeing up his siege guns. His troops have seized another 150 guns from the forts of central Italy.
That's a lot.
Napoleon can now make serious
only
plans
had
to
like
take
33.
Mantua. And he has no time to lose. In the Tyrol, the reinforced Austrian army is beginning to stir. Under a new commander. Berlioz is gone. Now, 72-year-old Field Marshal Count von Wurmser is in command. A courageous cavalryman, vigorous beyond his years, and determined to avenge Austrian defeats in Italy.
The storm is beginning to gather. Napoleon Bonaparte, 2nd of July, 1796.
What the fuck was that, Jack?
I
Since
don't know.
crossing the Mincio, Napoleon has reorganized and redeployed his forces.
I just think it would be a lot better if you like read the diaries of like war dictators and that in a like an elderly Yorkshire woman's voice.
That was not elderly Yorkshire woman at all. That was
obviously
weird.
no, but what I'm saying is, I think I would. Stalin, did he ever write a book?
Yeah, I think.
Right, yeah, there we go. Imagine that, right? Being
There's a
read.
couple with like Hitler. Hitler wrote one as well.
Yeah, so imagine that being read by a Yorkshire 80-year-old woman sitting over a fireplace. She's like, "Ooh, once I'd taken France, that was it, wasn't it?" But she puts her own little twist on it. Bro, come on, man, that's a genius idea. Genius idea.
Sometimes I really just want to live in Jack's head. Honestly, I just wonder what goes on sometimes. Like,
I wouldn't. It's a vast chasm of nothingness.
oh, well, you're not wrong there. There is nothing up there.
General Massena's
all down there.
division near Rivoli, watching the road to the
Praise.
Tyrol. Two of his brigades under General Sorre are at Salo, watching the western side of Lake Garda. General Despinois' division is in support at Peschiera. General Augereau's division is around Lenyaga,
30,000
watching the eastern
men.
approaches, while
Yeah,
Kilmain's cavalry mounts patrols.
That's not even that much, really. Like compared to some
General
of the other
Serrurier's
battles you
division
fought with.
carries
How
out
is it
the
40?
siege of Mantua itself.
Right.
But Napoleon's hopes for a rapid conclusion to the siege are in vain. The Austrian garrison conducts a skillful and active defense, raiding French entrenchments and seizing supplies.
Oh.
Murat, recently promoted to brigadier general, plans to lead a group of men in Austrian uniform across the lake at night to take the guards by surprise. But the operation's abandoned when the water level suddenly drops.
Shame.
The French
That would've
step
been
up
nice
their
to have beat from
bombardment of the city, firing more than 1,000 cannonballs and mortar shells in one 6-hour period. Mantua is being battered to pieces, but its walls are not yet breached.
Imagine living in a city as this is going on,
Napoleon
bro.
is out of time.
I'd go into the fucking
Field Marshal
river.
Wurmser is finally marching to
I'll go to the
Mantua's aid.
nearest bar.
He has
or
divided
barrel
his
of
army
wine.
into 4 columns. 2 central columns are advancing down the Adige Valley directly towards Mantua. Another column to the east is making a wide flanking march, while a 4th column, under General Kostanovic, advances down the western shore of Lake Garda, planning to seize Brescia and cut Napoleon's line of retreat. Massena comes under heavy attack and, severely outnumbered, abandons Rivoli and begins a fighting retreat. As soon as the news reaches Napoleon, he races to Castelnuovo, ordering Augereau, Despinois and Kilmain to join him as fast as possible. But suddenly, it is Kostanovic's column that's emerging as the greatest threat. General Saue's troops at Salo are heavily outnumbered. They put up a stiff resistance, but are forced to withdraw. The next day, Austrian troops surprise the French at Brescia. They take the town, as well as an army hospital containing 2,000 French sick and wounded.
Ooh.
Even Napoleon's wife, Josephine, en route to Brescia, is nearly captured in the chaos.
Shame.
Wurmser has wrong-footed Napoleon. Already outnumbered, he's lost 5,000 casualties. His left flank is in tatters, and there's a real possibility he may be encircled. It's the greatest crisis he has faced as an army commander, and will force him to make an agonizing decision.
The first agonizing decision of many. Every moment is precious. The enemy has broken through our lines in 3 places. Napoleon to General... Oh, I can never pronounce these names.
On the 31st of July, after 2 months of blood, sweat and sacrifice, General Serrurier is ordered to abandon the siege of Mantua. He is to send 2 of his brigades to reinforce Massena and Augereau, and withdraw with the rest of his troops to guard the army's line of retreat.
Gutted.
179 guns, plus ammunition and supplies which cannot be moved, are to be buried or tipped into the marshes.
So they can't be used against them.
Napoleon needs every
Imagine
man he
finding
can
stuff
get,
from that revolution now.
because in the midst of the crisis, he has spotted an opportunity. Kostanovic's advance has caught him off guard, but Lake Garda separates him from the rest of the Austrian army. Napoleon will concentrate his forces against Kostanovic, beat him in battle, then pivot again to take on Wurmser. The French divisions are soon on the move. Kostanovic's troops reach Lonato, but here they encounter Massena's vanguard. The Austrians come under heavy attack, and with French reinforcements arriving, they have to pull back.
That's mental.
Yeah, man.
The next day, the French retake
It's just such
Brescia,
a back and forth.
along with most of their supplies, sick and wounded.
Nice.
Yeah,
Then
I'd wonder
Napoleon
about this.
catches a lucky break. Wurmser has been on Massena's heels, harrying his rear guard as far as Peschiera. But now he receives reports there are French forces massing between him and Mantua. Mantua is his priority, so he swings south, away from Kostanovic, towards a city Napoleon has already abandoned.
Lucky.
By the time Wurmser realizes his error, it's too late. He has gifted Napoleon 24 crucial hours. A blunder, for which he will pay dearly.
Oh, yeah. Nothing is lost while courage remains. Napoleon to General Massena. Yeah, that was a hard one.
The 3rd of August sees confused fighting west of Lake Garda. One French brigade slips through the wooded ravines unnoticed, straight into Salot, causing havoc behind the Austrian lines. But the Austrians repel 3 attacks on Gavardo, and all seems to be going well until their own advance meets Massena's division at Lonato. Massena's counterattack is led by the 32nd Demi Brigade, which is becoming known as one of the Army of Italy's most feared units. Bayonets only, Napoleon calls out, and you, 32nd, maintain your glorious reputation. The lead Austrian brigade is routed. Colonel Junot, though wounded 6 times, accepts their commander's surrender. Kostanovich's force has been mauled. Fearing for the rest of his command, and with no word from Wurmser, he decides he must march back around Lake Garda to rejoin the army. The same day, 15 miles to the south, General Augereau's division fights an aggressive rearguard action near Castiglione, keeping Wurmser at bay while Napoleon deals with Kostanovic. Augereau begins with a bold attack on General Liptay's vanguard, driving it back to high ground near Solferino. But here, Liptay receives steady reinforcements as the rest of the Austrian army begins to arrive.
Okay.
Augereau keeps up the pressure, preventing an Austrian advance. And though there's a late scare when enemy cavalry sweep around his left flank, they are unsupported and soon pull back.
I would have
For
tried
Augereau and his
with that
men, it is a
advantage.
long day of heroic action against a superior force. One which Napoleon will never forget. 12 years later, as emperor, he will make Augereau Duke of Castiglione, and always remind his critics, he saved us that day.
Okay, now.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, by nightfall, Augereau's division is at breaking point. Our soldiers are exhausted from fatigue and hunger. If you don't send me reinforcements, I won't be able to hold out. Next morning, French troops renew the attack on Kostanovic and quickly discover he's beating a hasty retreat. A major disaster is narrowly avoided when 3 lost Austrian battalions stumble into Napoleon's headquarters at Lonato. They call on the general to surrender. Napoleon responds by loudly ordering his grenadiers and artillery into position, then demands that the Austrians surrender to him or be put to the sword. It's a bold bluff. Few of his troops are anywhere near. But the Austrians meekly lay down their arms. As Napoleon swings his army round to take on Wurmser, the Austrian must decide whether to stand his ground or fall back to a stronger line behind the Mincio River.
Oh, we'll get
He
over it,
chooses to stay put. By engaging Napoleon, he hopes to buy time for Kostanovic to regroup and resume his advance, and for Mantua to be resupplied. His reasoning is sound, but his intelligence is out of date, and he's underestimated the speed at which Napoleon's forces will move.
For 8 days we have been in the saddle. We do not want to allow the enemy rest unless we have destroyed them.
At dawn on the 5th of August, the Austrian army is 4 miles east of Castiglione, formed up in 2 lines. Its northern flank anchored on the village of Solferino, its southern flank on a well-fortified redoubt at Monte Medolano. Napoleon faces him with Massena's division in the north, Augereau's division in the centre, and Kilmain's cavalry in the south. He's also formed an elite unit of grenadiers and cavalry to be held back for the decisive moment. Napoleon doesn't seem to have much of an advantage, but he has 10,000 more troops converging rapidly on the battlefield. 5,000 under General Despinois, marching from Brescia. 5,000 more under General Fiorella, coming from the south. To buy time for these reinforcements to arrive, and to lure Wurmser out of position, Napoleon orders Massena and Augereau to attack.
Oh, just straight up, he's going for it.
There is a short exchange of fire. Then the French begin a feigned retreat.
Ooh, interesting.
The Austrians take the bait, some units advancing off the high ground, while Wurmser extends his right wing, looking to outflank Massena's division. Around 9 AM, the sound of gunfire from the south alerts both sides to Fiorella's arrival behind the Austrian left flank. Napoleon immediately orders Augereau and Massena to attack again, in earnest. Despinois' troops arrive to join the assault.
Oh, that's it.
That's
done.
His trap too early.
Huh. Oh,
Wurmser is not yet fully committed, and reacts swiftly. He organizes a new line to fend off Fiorella, and hurriedly recalls his right wing. But he cannot save the redoubt at Monte Medolano.
That's where he's learned not to be so hasty.
Napoleon's aide-de-camp, Major Marmont, leads forward a battery to blast the position. His guns open a devastating cannonade, clearing the way for an attack. Around 10 AM, the reserve grenadiers charge forward with bayonets fixed, sweeping the Austrians off the hill. Meanwhile, to the north, the 4th and 5th demi-brigades surge onto the Solferino heights and seize the redoubt before Pozzacatana. Carried forward by their momentum, they storm the Solferino tower and village beyond, the shaken enemy falling back in disarray.
Nah, there you go. That's it.
The Austrians are
hard
pressed along the line, and now French cavalry and Fiorella's troops threaten to cut off their retreat. While Napoleon is active, energized, urging troops forward, Wurmser seems to go into shock. A French émigré serving with him recalled, he watched without seeing anything, saying anything, hearing anything. This brave old man, his head covered with white hair, did not think anymore.
You imagine if that was your commander and you was just standing there going, what are we going to do? What are we gonna do? How many times does it take you to ask before you start acting?
Well, it's like the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Where the captain walks down the stairs and completely blown
That's
apart.
Right. Yeah. But how long does it take until you start giving orders? If you're his second in command?
At this point, I think he's just in pure shock that
he's
been
So my
fucked.
argument is like, if you're standing there next to him, how long? Like
at that point, I'd probably just say suck yourself and then just tell them.
I'd ask him twice, and I'd be like,
retreat. Get all the men to retreat.
That's it, and I'd start taking command. Like you're a fucking moron,
you're useless,
mate. Like fuck's sake. Yes, you lost, right? But take a defeat. Don't make your men die.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like save as many as you can. You fucking melt.
Booga booga.
No, it's really just
no.
My Johnny Depp skills ain't working. It's so warm in here. I'm
It's
dying.
fucking bacon.
I actually just want to commit suicide.
Finally, Wormser. Finally, Wormser orders a general retreat back across the Mincho River, covered by their cavalry and some late Austrian reinforcements.
At least they got some reinforcements.
The French
to help
pursuit quickly peters out.
Yeah, you don't need to chase them down.
After a week of forced marches in stifling heat, with little to eat or drink, Napoleon's men are close to collapse. But their general is content with what they have achieved.
Good victory.
The Austrian army has disappeared like a dream, and and Italy that is threatened is now quiet.
Wormser's army finds temporary refuge behind the Mincho River.
Ain't lasting long.
But Napoleon immediately resumes the attack. Massena is sent north to relieve the French garrison at Peschiera and threaten Wormser's line of retreat. The Austrian general has had enough. After ensuring the garrison of Mantua is fully resupplied and reinforced, he begins his withdrawal to the Tyrol.
Is that deuces?
And
I'm out.
rethink.
Good luck rebuilding your walls, boys.
Have fun.
All the way. Napoleon has just endured his toughest challenge yet as an army commander. And though initially wrong-footed by his adversary, he's displayed brilliant flexibility and his usual energy to weather the crisis and then triumph.
What a great commander he is.
But Mantua remains the key to Italy. And while it stands unconquered, the Austrians will do everything in their power to save it. Wormser will be back. And when he returns, he'll find himself on a collision course with Napoleon, as he launches his own attack on Austria itself.
I guess that's where we're going in the next episode. What a good episode this was. Obviously, I know they do some work with PMF Productions, so if you haven't already, head over to both their channels, links in the description box down below. If you guys enjoyed our reaction to this and looking forward to the next one, then like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we will catch you in the next video.
See you in a bit.